Good morning, and welcome back to another episode of Stop Pretending, Let's Get Real. I'm your host, Katrina O, and I am so glad that you have decided to join me again today. We are going to be talking about something that is very near and dear to my heart and very important by way of knowing where knowing your boundary when it comes to this. We are talking about being helpful and when being helpful goes too far. There's difference between being a helpful person and then enabling an individual from moving forward or maybe experiencing what they need to experience in order to obtain what God needs them to learn at the end of the day. I know myself, I am big on if I got it and somebody need it, I want to give it. If I have an opportunity or the ability to support somebody or to help somebody in something that they're doing or whatever, I want to figure out how I can do it. And it's a good attribute to have by all means. So all of you out there, raise your hand if you are that person that is very like, whenever I can help, I want to help. Whatever I can do, I want to do. And you want to support, especially your family and your friends and those of that nature. You want to do whatever you can to be there for them. That is me. One thing about that, though, sometimes it can be a thin line between actually being helpful and then enabling the individual from growth. Because the truth of the matter is, what we deem to be helpful may not necessarily be what the person needs as far as help. When it comes to enabling a person, we may think that we are supporting them, whether it be financially or emotionally or physically, like come stay at my house, things of that nature. Those are things where we could be supporting a person or we feel like we're supporting a person and trying to help them to get to a point when in fact that only keeps them in their state of disaster and they don't grow from the point that they're at to the point that they need to get to because their mindset is not in a place to receive that kind of help. The help that that person may need might actually be to feel what it feels like to be sleeping in their car for a day or two, or uh, being homeless, or not having to struggle and figure out how they're going to pay their own bills, or having to figure out on their own how they're going to find a place to live or pay for the place that they currently live in, or whatever that could be. So, a lot of times, we think, oh, I'm just trying to help somebody out. I'm just trying to, keep a person afloat or support them in this fashion. When the reality is that kind of support only keeps them in that state of immaturity. They never grow from irresponsible to responsible because you have stepped in the way. And I have learned that I do not want to be one to get in the way of what God has for any individual. So I definitely don't want it to be with the heart of helping somebody, and then really I've only made things worse. A lot of times, what we think a person needs is not even exactly what they need. And they may not know what they need, so they can't even tell us. So it really takes a spirit of discernment to know who needs what or how I can actually assist somebody. So when people ask for things or if they come to you and they're like, oh, I don't have this and I need that, maybe they need budgeting tips. Maybe they need you to teach them how to maintain the funds that they already have, not necessarily that they need you to give them more money to squander. And a lot of times we don't think like that. We're thinking, oh, I'm just trying to help out. I'm giving, and giving is great. But if we don't give instruction along with the finances, then we've not really given anything. Because if that person's irresponsible, the same irresponsible person that had no money is just an irresponsible person with money. The same irresponsible person that had nowhere to live is now just the irresponsible person with a place to live. So there's a lesson that needs to be taught in the midst of that. And by all means, We don't want to see our loved ones struggling. We don't want to see our loved ones on the street. We don't want to know that we have an empty room and somebody's in need and we're not going to grab them and, shelter them. But if that person needs to walk through a little bit of a wilderness in order to get to the other side, who are we? Who are we to stand in the way? And that's where that thin line goes from helping somebody to enabling them and not positioning them for success. Sometimes being homeless will position you for success. I think Tyler Perry talks about how he was making plays as a homeless man, and now he's a millionaire, multimillionaire probably. So with that being the case, had he not gone through his wilderness season where he was homeless, he may never have reached his full potential and became the man that he is. So sometimes people need to go through their particular wilderness, and we as individuals who may operate without that discernment, we can get in the way of it. If you have that discernment, maybe you can support a person in a certain way. Maybe you give, like I said, budgeting tips. Maybe you help them look for apartments. Maybe you help them look for a better paying job, whatever that scenario may be. But just handing them money and them not choosing to be responsible with the money they have or the money that they're given, you only leave the person in the same position. It's the same as teaching a person to fish versus giving a person a fish. The person who learns to fish can now be self-sufficient, move forward, and do this for themselves. The person given a fish is going to be looking for you to give them another fish not too far from now. So this was a lesson that I definitely had to learn. And when I realized it, I had to stop pretending. Because when you enable a person, you get tired of them very quickly. Not only do you get tired of them, you get aggravated and frustrated with them in a way that almost makes you resent that you gave. And it's because you're dealing with the person who you're enabling, not helping. When you're helping somebody, they grow. The ones that you think you're helping, but you're not actually helping, they don't grow. They don't grow. And because they don't grow, you're frustrated, they're frustrated, and you're not really working together to get to the end result. Therefore, that helped me to see the thin line between helping and enabling. And I don't choose to enable anybody. I am the first person to want to give you when I see you are in need. But the reality is, if you keep showing me that you're in need, you're in need, you're in need for the same thing, I'm going to have some questions. My question is going to be, okay, what's your budget look like? How have you been preparing for this particular scenario 3 months ago? Because now you need again. And those are the questions that I will be coming with when I'm put in that type of predicament because I don't choose to enable anybody any longer. Enabling is a form of pretending because you're not happy that you're giving, but you keep giving. You're not happy or you're not confident with the way that you've been giving or the things that you've been doing that it's actually being beneficial to the other individual. And now you're resentful. And because of that, you kind of start pretending. You keep doing it, you don't really want to do it. Yeah, that's pretending. So I hope that this was a blessing to you. I hope that you are able to see the difference between helping somebody and actually enabling somebody, because the reality is you're not helping a person that's not getting no better. If you're doing whatever you're doing and they're not getting any better, you're not helping them. You may be enabling them. And if you're enabling them, you're probably pretending. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please subscribe, join the conversation and leave a comment. Feel free to share this video with anyone that you know that may need help in this particular area, because enabling ain't no joke. It's a real issue and it's a real problem for people. And it is a real problem if that is you, because you're going to be pretending. Eventually, you get to the point where you're pretending because you never get to give the person what they really need, which is probably a tough conversation. I hope you enjoyed. Please come back and join us again for Stop Pretending 2022.